have. We'll get lots of team photos of just the most important.
Cornerstones.
Do you have a ticket?
No, I need to buy one.
We bought ours. I don't know if we need to like get them here or there because they only give us a number for tickets to buy. So
Driver's license with you, okay?
I've got her passport photo.
Follow the girl.
That's a boy, Warrior here is a girl. His name is Kep. He comes from Victoria, and one of the reasons which I hinted at before why Kep may not get up and move around a lot, because he comes from Victoria. That's a state down south, much cooler down there, and he is what we call an alpine dingo. So he comes from a cooler climate. He's bigger and buffier. He's about 23 kilos, 50 pound in the old measure. She's around 13 kilos, which is around 30 pound, I guess, significantly smaller. But he's got a lot more weight around him, much buffier, and also much thicker fur, 2-layered thick fur. Good. 2-layered thick fur. So he's hotter, in other words. He feels the heat. He is a little bit more lethargic during the day than Warrior, who definitely knows I've got something in my pouch here that she likes, and if you're wondering, it's chopped up rabbit. That's the only reason she's here. We keepers that have worked with them, and they arrived when they were about 8 weeks old. She's actually 2 weeks older than Kep. We've worked with them now for nearly 2.5 years. They're about 2.5 years old. Every day working in with them, I spend half my day in with them when I'm working with the dingoes. We walk them every morning in the zoo. We introduce them to people, new things, go into buildings and what have you, all to build up this rapport with them. So I have a really good rapport with her. She trusts me a lot. However, she is very much like a real wild dingo, and he's kind of showing that dingo-ness at the moment. They're very cat-like in their behaviour, much more like cats, much more aloof, very nervous of new things, which she certainly is. We can walk her one way and the next day she doesn't want to go that way because a banner blew in the breeze that she wasn't expecting, something like that. So we spend a lot of time keeping her used to meeting new things, as I said before. When they first arrived at 8 weeks old, this exhibit didn't even exist. They would not have come straight here. She spent a couple of days in her pet pack, not even coming out in her pet pack. She was off exhibit, in an off exhibit area. We used to take her, once they got to a certain age, we would take her to an empty exhibit to do practice talks with them when they were young. An umbrella going up was very nervous for them. We'd ask people to give them little claps at the end, and she'd look around. Amazing, after 2 years, that she's here so comfortable in this space with the ropes course, glass everywhere, people looking up from the koala boardwalk. She's still looking around at you guys. So it's amazing she's like this. However, as I said before, if there's a couple of things that happen at once when we're out walking, she will stop and say, no, I'm not comfortable with that. And it's our job to read her and say, okay, that's fine, we'll go another way, no problem.
Would you like to give the rabbit something to eat?
Would you like to feed a guinea pig?
Yes.
Would you like to put some food in for the guinea pig?
Their attention. Oh, and another one.
Do you want to do?
Big eye. Yes, there we go.
You go. Sorry.
You watch, they're like little children, they won't eat their broccoli. Will you? You cheeky little thing. Here, you have your own, you little guts. Stop taking it off your brother. Did you see that one? Came and stole it.
How many piggies do you guys have?
Oh, I'm not sure how many's in here now. Change it around. Here, have your own. How are you going, little Fluffy? Look at your long hair.
Uh-oh.
You look like a punk rocker.
We've got an intruder.
Oh no.
Hurry up and eat your food, rabbit.
Look out.
to Taronga Zoo and Seals for the Wild, proudly powered by Red Energy. My name is Brad, I'm one of the keepers here on Marine, and before we begin, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that today we're along Camaragal land. And for thousands of years, the Camaragal people, they were connected to the land, the sea, and the wildlife of this part of Sydney. And here at Taronga, we share that connection through our seals. Now our seals, they're either rare, rescued, or relocated. And our very special seals, well, they are Taronga's ambassadors for the wild. The first seal we're going to meet, he is a rescued New Zealand, or otherwise known as long-nosed fur seal. Now, they got their name New Zealand fur seal because they were first discovered in New Zealand, but they are one of the most common seal species found naturally right here in the Sydney region. His name is Abel. So Abel, when you're ready, buddy, come on out. As I mentioned, Abel was rescued. He was found down on Kurnell Beach, just south of Sydney, and he had sustained a shark attack by it. Now, he was brought into our wildlife hospital, where he underwent a fairly intensive period of care. Given the extended period he was with us, he wasn't a suitable candidate for release. But he's doing quite well for himself, and you might notice he has a big scar from that original injury up on his shoulder. But believe it or not, you and Abel have something in common. Have a look at your hand. And check out Abel's flipper. Inside that flipper, he actually has the same bone structure we all have in our own hands. Now, those flippers can make movement over land seem a little awkward. But believe it or not, Abel has the ability to move much easier over the land than most of us would expect. So let's watch him as he goes for a bit of a walk. Using all four of those flippers, he can make his way to the top of that cliff. Definitely not at top speed today, but believe it or not, seals like Abel can outrun most humans. But it is, of course, in the water where we truly see how incredible those flippers really are. Abel's demonstrating a behavior known as bowing or porpoising, and it's the most energy efficient way for seals to get around. Each time he leaps out of the water, he's actually very quickly catching a breath on the move. Traveling like this means he can keep up terrific speed, chase down prey, and even get away from predators. Now, the ocean's a big place, and there's lots of predators out there. Seals are, of course, one of them. But there is another one out there, and it's one that's really important for a healthy ocean, but it is an animal that we often misunderstand, an animal that Abel knows a little too well. He's giving you all a pretty good clue what we're talking about this afternoon. And while Abel does a great little shark impersonation, he's actually showing off a really natural behavior for seals. This is how they cool down. As a fur seal, Abel is covered in two really thick layers of fur. That fur is so good at trapping his body heat in that it's only his naked and hairless flippers that can let any of that body heat back out again. Now, those flippers of his are also incredibly powerful. He still has quite a bit of growing ahead of him, but he can support all of that body weight on those incredible flippers. Nice, back Abel. Now, those flippers are good for one more thing, and that's saying a big goodbye, because it's time for Abel and I to go. Please make feel welcome two friends of ours. We're going to welcome our keeper Jose with Diego.
Thank you very much, Brad and Abel. Didn't they do a great job? Absolutely. Now, as you said, I'm out here with Diego. He's a little bit different to Abel. These guys are known as a Californian sea lion, native to the west coast of the United States. Diego was actually born in Europe, and he came to us around about 10 years ago now, when he was only 50 kilos. As of now, he's about 270 kilos. And he's still actually got quite a bit of growing to do. These guys can hit well in excess of 350 kilos. And would you like to say a big hello to everybody? Excellent work there, Diego. Now, life with a seal isn't always easy. Human impact is also one of their biggest challenges, but Diego did a great job, buddy. And we've got a big bucket of fish for you. Now, you may have seen how easily our seals catch their fish as we throw it to them. And that's because of their sensitive whiskers that help with the sense of touch. So let's have a closer look. So on the count of 3, I'm going to get you all to say whiskers, and let's see how easily Diego can move them around. 1, 2, 3. Each of those whiskers is what helps him find his way through dark and murky water to catch his food. Now Diego is on a pretty healthy diet. On an average day, he fills up on about 9 kilos of fish. That is almost 2 of these buckets full. But Diego, what happens when that seafood runs out? Well, sadly, we are overfishing our oceans. Wild seals, just like Diego, are finding it harder to get their next meal. Now Diego's going to come down to the edge of the pool and we're going to look in the water to see if we can find any of those fish. You ready? How Diego? Was there any fish down there? No. But the real question is there something that we can all do about that? That's right, yes there is. Your choices do matter. The next time you're out there looking for seafood, ask for MSC. The blue fish stick that you can see right here is a guarantee that you're buying seafood that comes from an industry that protects fish stocks, jobs, and the environment. So the next time you're out there shopping, that's right, Diego, look for MSC and you too can be a champion for the wild. I think Diego might also be a little bit happier as well. Can we see that happy face again? A little bit creepy, but yes, very happy indeed. Well, Diego, as always, you've done a fantastic job, so let's wave goodbye. Find you some more of those fish, and we are welcoming back out the stage Keeper Brad, this time here with Pepper.
Thanks, Jose and Diego. Well, Pep is another one of our relocated California sea lions, just like Diego. He actually began his life over in a zoo in Europe, moved out to Australia many, many years ago now. Now, part of caring for our seals does mean teaching them behaviours. Pepper won't do anything he doesn't want to do. Training takes a lot of time and a lot of trust. Now, we can teach Pepper to do something simple, like open his mouth. This is something that we use in his cooperative healthcare on a daily basis. Check out all those teeth and gums. Looking good, Pep. We can teach him to do something a little bit more complex and complicated. That's what Pep's going to demonstrate for you all this afternoon. He's going to show off a behaviour called a high bow, where he'll leap from that cliff into the water. He'll be aiming for the buoy hanging in the centre. Now, Pep, you're going to need to run up for this, and Pepper's going to need your help. He's a big, heavy seal. To spur him on for this leap, I'll need you on the count of 3, as loud as you can, to call out jump Pepper. He's in position if you're ready to go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I thought that was pretty good. Let's ask Pep. Pep, was that loud enough for you? He said no. There are a lot of you out there this afternoon. Let's try once more if we can manage just even a little bit louder. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. A beautiful leap from Pep. Nice little shower for a few lucky people down the front. Like it is a nice warm day. Good job, buddy. Well, we really appreciate you coming down today. Stay where you are because our seals and keepers will be back out to say their final farewell. Remember, ask for MSC and you'll all be champions for the wild. Bye for now.
No matter where you're from or where you live, every day there are opportunities to see and to connect with remarkable birds, and they really are all around us. And all you have to do is look up. But whilst we are looking up, many birds, well, they're spending their time looking down, and they are more often than not searching for a feed. An emu egg like this one over here could be the ultimate prize for Australia's 3rd largest hawk, the black-breasted buzzard. Everyone, this is Waru, and even with his sharp beak and feet, he does need help to get into an egg. Ugh. And the rock is the perfect tool for the job. Whack. Now, believe it or not, this is nothing that we ever taught Waru to do. It is actually instinct. He hatched right out of his own egg with all of this knowledge already in his mind. Oh, good whack. Now, persistence is key. Eggs, after all, are designed to be opened from the inside out, so they're not always easy to get into. Oh, almost. Yeah. Where are you going? Good job. I don't like that one. We'll put it back. Oh, I changed my mind. That's okay. Oh, whack. Now this egg, you might have already realised it's not actually a real egg. It is a 3D printed one, which is pretty cool. There's little magnets on the inside that hold it together. Now, they are pretty new to us here. We actually used to make them out of plaster every day. Oh, good whack. So the birds are still kind of figuring out where the best spot is to hit them. Ugh. Sometimes they get in on the first whack, and other days they get in on the 10th or 12th. But that's all right. Ugh. And if it does take Waru a little while, I'm always able to give him a little bit of a hand as well. But most importantly, we make sure there's some food on the inside to say good job for all of your hard work. Yeah, do you want some help? I thought so. I'm gonna go over there, because this isn't easy. Oh, good job, Waru. Yay! Nice work, buddy. Now, he did a really great job of demonstrating tool use, and tool use is something we normally associate with humans or other primates. So seeing a bird like Waru do that is pretty impressive, and it might make you think, hey, maybe I do have that little bit more in common with birds than what I previously thought. Now, Waru is a really cool bird that's going to be flying around out in the daytime, actively searching for their prey. But as it gets darker, obviously, it does get harder and harder to see, and owls are generally the predatory birds that we think of at nighttime. And whilst owls, well, they do have superb vision, their prey, sometimes, it's not always visible. So they rely on other adaptations, things like keen hearing and nearly silent flight to help them out. I'm hoping if we're nice and quiet in the theatre, we will get to experience some of that silent flight for ourselves. Wishka. Do you guys hear anything? Oh, it's pretty cool, huh? Everyone, this is Wraith, and Wraith is a barn owl. Now, as a barn owl, he's among the most likely type of owl you'll find close to people all over the world. So if you just take a second to look up, you might get to see one flying past. Now, many cultures regard owls with fascination and awe. They often see them as symbols of wisdom, to be messengers, and even having the powers of prophecy. You can see as Wraith looks around, they do so with quite a lot of ease. Owls actually have double the amount of neck bones that we do as people, which gives them that great range of motion. And on the flip side to what I was saying before, owls have also been feared. They have been believed to be ghosts and even bad omens. But no matter your beliefs, owls have undoubtedly had one of the longest and closest connections to people right across the world. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Wraith. Yeah, you can give him a round of applause. It's a beautiful little bird. Now, day and night, owls like wraith, they're out there hunting all sorts of pests, normally things like introduced rats. And these rats can cause a lot of problems for our native wildlife. They're often taking young birds and eggs straight from the nest. So it is really great that we do have owls out there to restore our balances. You know, a single owl out there in the wild, they could be eating about 1,000 mice and rats in about a year. But a pair that's raising chicks, well, they could be eating about 3,000 more. So they're definitely one of the most beneficial neighbours that we could ask for. Now, owls aren't the only predators out in our backyards. Go, brush turkey! They're not the only predators out in our backyards over night time. One of Australia's lesser known predatory birds actually likes to hunt under the cover of darkness. You might not always see them, but you'll definitely be able to hear them. Everyone, this is Umar, the bushstone curlew, and they're a ground-dwelling species. Now, you often find them in woodland areas, grassy plains, and even actually close to people. They are normally found standing still, like she is now, or lying perfectly flat to the ground, and that allows them to camouflage almost in plain sight. Now, camouflaging in plain sight isn't always helpful though when when the things hunting you use their sense of smell, animals like feral foxes or domestic cats and dogs. Now, the bushstone curlew was once widespread across Australia. You used to be able to find them even right here in Sydney, but unfortunately their numbers have started to plummet, making them near threatened across most of Australia. One thing that we can do to help them out though is simply keep our cats and dogs inside over night time. It might just be the turning point needed for birds like Uma. Everyone, Uma the bushstone curlew. Now, the birds that you have seen so far, they have all been Australian natives, which really goes to show that we don't have to travel all that far to create a connection with birds. In fact, this next species, well, they've actually done all of the travelling for us. They voyaged across the seas and alongside people, and this next species allows us all to have that everyday connection. It's the rooster. Lighten the load and off we go. Good job, buddy. Now folks, this is no ordinary rooster. This is Mentari, and Mentari is actually a red jungle fowl. Now, a red jungle fowl originated in Southeast Asia, and they're actually the ancestral species to all of our domestic chicken breeds. They've even gone and boasted a connection that's lasted with people for around 8,000 years. Today, our modern day chickens and the red jungle fowl have made their way into our societies and our cultures, our religions and our rituals. They've even gone and made their way into our very own everyday languages. Thanks, Emmy. So, whether you're a little bit like Mentari and you're out there ruling the roost, perhaps you've gone and you've put all of your eggs into one basket. Or maybe you're a mother hen and your chicks are about to fly the coop. You really don't have to look much further than your own backyards for that connection with birds. Everyone, Mentari. He is very special, hey. You know, around the world, chickens have actually become our most common livestock species. We rely on them so heavily for their egg and their meat production that they now outnumber people by 6 to 1, which is pretty crazy. We don't have any native species of chicken in Australia, but we do have around 800 different types of bird that do call this country home. 50 of them, well, they happen to be our parrots, and it often gives Australia the nickname the land of the parrots. So for many of us, all it takes is a simple step outside right into our own backyards to experience the beauty that's all around us. All around us. There we go. Nice job. You know, as we expand our towns and our cities, we are making a lot of changes to our landscapes. And unfortunately, not all bird species can adapt to those impacts. Many birds, just like this one, rely on tree hollows, as that can provide them with a secure home. And with that, they get a place where they can nest, a place to rest, and ultimately, that's a place where they can thrive. Everyone, this is Giri Giri, and he is a male red-tailed black cockatoo. You can tell that because of his solid black body and the beautiful striking of red down through his tail. His name, Giri Giri, well, it actually means very red, so a name quite suited for a bird like him. Now, unfortunately, we don't have red-tailed black cockatoos native to Sydney, but here at Taronga, we do like to think of ourselves as a little bit of a sanctuary, not only for the wildlife in our care, but for people and for all of our local wildlife as well. In a way, Taronga is habitat, and to help us demonstrate this, we do have a couple volunteers they're already picked out who's going to be habitat for another red-tailed black cockatoo, and his name is Wattle. He should be joining us in that direction. Here he comes. Now, Wattle does look a little bit different to Giri. They're fully grown, but he's not quite fully mature yet. He still has the female coloration or the juvenile coloration. So they have yellow speckles down their body and a little bit of yellow and orange through their tail. Good job, buddy. Now, just like Giri, Wattle's name has meaning as well. Wattle is a type of plant that you can find in their habitat, and that allows us to be reminded of the connections that they share with the ecosystem. Now, when we think of cockatoos, most of the time we're thinking of messy and destructive eaters. But whilst they do make a mess, they're potentially dropping seeds, and that allows trees to grow and entire ecosystems to flourish. Good job. Now, I mentioned earlier that these birds do rely on tree hollows. However, one large enough for a bird like this could take about 150 years to form. So you might not be lucky enough to have one in your own backyard, but that's all right. There's plenty of other options too. One of those other options could be installing an artificial nesting box. There's a green and white example on the speaker pole over there, and underneath a QR code, if you scan it, it should take you straight to a link where you can find out how to source and install your own. Nice job. Well, Well, thank you so much to our 2 incredible volunteers. Waddle did a pretty great job too. Yeah. Now, installing a nest box like this one over here is a really great take-home action, but in case you do want to help us out whilst you're here today, you can come on down at the end and make a donation. With all your guys' support, we've been trying to help this species that's pictured on the front, the Regent honeyeater. It's a native species and it used to number in the tens of thousands, but has sadly dropped to less than 300 in the wild today. Taronga and other zoos are working really hard to help breed and release them, but most importantly, making sure there's a wild to return them to. So if that's something you do want to support, please do come on down. You can chuck a coin or a note in the box. We've got a little tap machine too. And if you happen to donate $5 or more, we would love to give you a special badge as our way of saying thank you. Because it really is with all your support that we get to see a bright future, where the skies and your backyards, well, they get to be filled with birds. And it all starts by looking up.